Hello friends, a very good afternoon. Welcome back to 17th July Daily Hindu News Analysis in English from LTX classes. Friends, in this video, we will carry out the news analysis of the important articles which are published in 17th July Hindu newspaper. So let me clarify one thing. So we are picking these articles from the Delhi edition of Hindu newspaper. Okay, you can also follow the same edition in order to be in sync with this particular video. And first of all, let us see the agenda. That means which articles we will discuss in the today's video. Once the agenda is completed, then we will go to the detailed explanation of each and every video. Okay, of each and every article. So the first and foremost article. With the two new judges, Supreme Court back to its full judicial strength. This article we have to cover under GS paper 2 polity. With respect to the topic, subtopic is Supreme Court of India. We have to cover this topic. Article, second one. Karnataka bill mandates 50% quota for locals in the management positions. So this we have to cover in GS paper 2, government policies and as well as interventions. Then the third one, CSIR chief N. Kalaiselvi gets 2-year extension. This we have to cover under GS paper 3 science and technology and as well as its associated bodies. Then article number 4, 1151 crore investment can help the India in the battery tech race. So this we have to read under GS paper 3 cleaner technologies, transition to cleaner technologies, electric vehicles, etc. Okay, next article. Rwanda's incumbent Paul Kagame wins the 4th term with 99% of vote. So this we should cover under GS paper 2 international relations. And the next one, NCLT National Company Law Tribunal puts Byju's on the IBC mat on BCCI plea. So this we should cover under GS paper 3 capital markets. And then in opinion page there was one such article, trying juveniles as adults is not the answer, GS paper 2, so the vulnerable sections of the society. And the last editorial, centralized examinations have not aced the test. This we have to cover under GS paper 2 education. Yes friends, so this is the agenda. These are the series of articles that we will cover today in this particular video. So let us start with the detailed explanation of each and every article. Let's start with the first article. With the two new judges, Supreme Court back to its full judicial strength. So this is the article. Let me give you some important brief background so that that will help you more and more for you. If I talk about the organs of the government, we have three important organs, right? What are they? So we have the executive, and then we have the legislature, and then we have the judiciary, What was the purpose of judiciary? So the judiciary's purpose is to adjudicate the laws. That means it aims to ensure that constitution is protected in all the cases. With respect to judiciary, we have the highest court, that is Supreme Court of India. Supreme Court of India. If I talk about Supreme Court of India, it is the highest constitutional court in our country. Its responsibility is to protect the constitution and also to protect the fundamental rights of its citizens. For example, whenever a particular citizen's fundamental right is violated, then they can directly approach a Supreme Court under Article number 32 of the Constitution. And it is the responsibility of the Supreme Court to protect the fundamental rights of its people. So thereby now Supreme Court will act and it will restore the rights which are violated by the state. So therefore it is the highest constitutional court, protect the fundamental right, and it is considered as the highest court of appeal. What does it mean by highest court of appeal? Means generally what happens, so whenever in a particular case, if in the lower courts, it have to start from the lower courts, and if you don't okay, agree with the lower court's judgment, so then you will appeal to the higher courts. So that means lower court next to high court. If you don't agree with the high court judgment also, so then you will go to the Supreme Court as well. So but however, after Supreme Court there is no other any other additional court. So Supreme Court will act as the final court of appeal. Yes, Supreme Court acts as the final court of appeal. And Supreme Court has one more important power with it, that is known as judicial review. So through this judicial review, it acts as a check over the executive and as well as legislative actions. So then in UPSC, in previous years questions, they have asked which of the following exactly defines the term judicial review. So judicial review is basically deciding the constitutionality, determining the constitutionality of a law, determining the constitutional validity, determining the constitutional validity of a law is a term. Constitutional validity of a law is termed as judicial review. So that means through this judicial review, what Supreme Court will do? Supreme Court will check whether the law that is enacted by the parliament, is it violating to the constitution or not. If it violates the constitution, so then what it will do? It will strike off that particular law. If it does not violate to the constitution and it is complementary to the constitution, so then it will uphold that particular law. This is what is judicial review. So let me talk again. So what is judicial? What are the different organs of the government? We have three different organs: executive, legislature, and as well as judiciary. So since this article is concerned with that of the judiciary, I myself have confined to judiciary only. So what is the main purpose of judiciary? Judiciary's main purpose is to adjudicate the laws. And the highest court in our country is the Supreme Court of India. It is the highest judicial court. And the first and foremost point we have written is, it is the highest constitutional court in our country, whose responsibility is to protect the constitution and at the same time to protect the fundamental rights of its citizens. So for example, if I talk about fundamental rights, if for example, if any person's fundamental right is violated, then they can approach the Supreme Court of India under article number 32 of the constitution, which is right to constitutional remedies. Second point, Supreme Court is also the highest court of appeal. So there is no more other court than that of the Supreme Court, and it is the final court of appeal. And the third important point, Supreme Court possesses an important weapon called as judicial review. So through this particular judicial review, it ensures that constitution is protected round the clock. So what is judicial review? Determining the constitutional validity of a law. So that means judiciary, Supreme Court will take a particular law on one hand and the constitution on the other hand, and it will determine whether are they in conflict with each other or complement with each other. So it ensures that constitutional, it ensures it is the judiciary which ensures constitutional supremacy in our country. It ensures constitutional supremacy in India. Constitutional supremacy. So that means, so the judiciary or the Supreme Court of India for that matter ensures the constitutional supremacy, that the constitution is supreme in our country. Yes, these are some important points. I have mentioned a few important points as well. Let us look into those points. Let us see the first and foremost point. Friends, I have written all these points, and you can get the PDF of this particular class in our description. In the comment box, we are mentioning it, the Telegram group. From there, you can download this particular document, because this document will help you in the long run. For example, let's say after 2 to 3 months, you cannot go through the class again, right? So during that times, what happens is this document will comes in handy to you, so that if you can revise these important points, that will be more than sufficient. And this document is meant mainly for the beginners. So for beginners, it will be much more advantageous. So okay, because those who are a little bit already experienced in this particular preparation, so they can prepare their own notes. So but this document will definitely be useful for those who are beginners who have just started their UPSC preparation. Now let us see the first point. So the first point what we have written, Supreme Court is the highest judicial court and the final court of appeal under the Constitution of India. So Supreme Court is considered as the highest court of appeal, right? We have already clarified it. Second point is, it is the highest constitutional court with the power of judicial review. Yes, you are already aware of this point as well. Then from here, third point, it is important. Friends, the institution of Supreme Court, the office of Supreme Court, it is actually mentioned in the Constitution of India only. So the Constitution of India itself have created this particular body, that is a Supreme Court of India. Now, since it is created by the Constitution itself, you are expected to know the articles. Article number 124 to 147 in part 5 of the Constitution deals with all the aspects of Supreme Court. Like for example, associated with its organization, with respect to its powers, with respect to its jurisdiction, procedure, etc. All the details about the Supreme Court of India are provided under part number 5 from article number 124 to 147 of the Constitution. And in your UPSC mains examinations as well, if you are writing about some constitutional body, in the introduction part itself, if you can mention the article in which it is mentioned, that will be a good value addition point that we can add, that you can enrich your answer. Similarly, if you are talking about some statutory body, try to mention about the law through which that particular body has been created. Yes. These are the important points with respect to Supreme Court now. So article 124 to 127 in 147 in part 5 of the Constitution deals with it. Now the question is, so with respect to the number of judges in the Supreme Court, to understand the fourth point, let us first understand the sixth point, then you will come back to the fourth point. So who will regulate the number of judges? For example, if we want to increase the number of judges in the Supreme Court, who has the authority? This was very important question. Okay, it is the Parliament who has the authority, friends. Parliament is authorized to regulate the number of judges in the Supreme Court. That means if it want to increase the number of judges in the Supreme Court, it is the Parliament which can increase. Parliament will pass an act or a law, so through which it will increase. As of now, at present, how many number of sanctioned judges are there? 34 judges are there, friends, at present. And now if you see these 34 judges, Supreme Court, the number of judges bill 2019, the Parliament have passed Supreme Court number of judges bill 2019 and thereby increased the judicial strength to 34, including the Chief Justice of India. From 31 to 34, the strength has been increased. So now with the appointment of these two judges, who are those two judges? So those two judges are, if you see here, so the judges Mahadevan and as well as the Koteshwar Singh. Koteshwar Singh and as well as Mahadevan are the two judges who have been recently appointed. So now with them, so it is now having the fullest strength. That is, in total 34 judges are now functioning in the Supreme Court of India. That is a point that you have to understand here. And at the same time, the Supreme Court number of judges bill 2019 increased the judicial strength to 34, including the Chief Justice of India. And recently with the appointment of these two judges, Supreme Court is functioning with its fullest judicial strength. Its full judicial strength, that is functioning with the full judicial strength. That means all the 34 judges are now working in the Supreme Court. So thereby you can reduce the backlog of cases, can also be reduced because since it is working to its full strength. Okay, now these are some of the important points. And now since these two judges are appointed, you are also expected to know how the judges are appointed. That was the next question that you have to address. Friends, you should understand that the judges of the Supreme Court are appointed by the President of India. But however, so the President of India will appoint, but upon the recommendations by the Collegium. Very, very important body. So there is something, a body called as Collegium, and this Collegium will recommend the judges' names to that of the President, and then the President will appoint. Here you should understand one more point. Not only Supreme Court judges, the High Court judges were also be appointed by the President of India only. Here they can tweak the question and say that the judges of Supreme Court are appointed by President, whereas the judges of High Court are appointed by the Governor. So that was a false statement, friends. Never fall into those traps. The judges, both the judges of Supreme Court and as well as High Court, are appointed by the President of India only. Now, since we are talking about the Supreme Court, let us confine about with respect to that only. Okay, so the judges of Supreme Court are appointed by the President of India after recommendations by collegium. What is this collegium? In this collegium, it consists of 5 members. So that is, the first member is the Chief Justice of India and 4 senior most judges of Supreme Court. So collegium system is basically have the 5-member body. It's a, so the first one is the Chief Justice of India, and as well as the other members are 4 senior most judges of Supreme Court. 4 senior most judges of Supreme Court plus Chief Justice of India together constitute this collegium. And now this collegium body will recommend the names of the judges who should be appointed to the Supreme Court of India, to President of India, and then the President of India will appoint. So if you go to the article and if you see the points, then you can better appreciate. So now, who will appoint the judges to Supreme Court? The President of India. True? That's the reason the first paragraph. President Draupadi Murmu on Tuesday appointed Justice N. Koteswar Singh and Justice Mahadevan as Supreme Court judges. So you are aware, right, already that the judges of Supreme Court are appointed by the President of India. And now upon whose recommendation? Collegium system's recommendation. Now read the second paragraph. A 5-member Supreme Court collegium headed by Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud had recommended their names in a resolution on July 11th. And how many judges are there? 34 judges are there. Read the third para. The center notified the 2 appointments that would return the top court to its full sanctioned strength of 34 judges. So these are the important points with respect to this thing, friends. And you are not expected to know this personal profiles of these judges are not required. Okay, but however, one significant thing is there. So this Koteswar Singh, he is the first judge in the top court from the Manipur. From the Manipur, he was the first judge. So therefore it holds some significance. Okay, and R. Mahadevan is the other person who belongs to a backward community from Tamil Nadu, will bring diversity to that of the bench. So this is what the collegium is saying. So now you are thorough that so the judges, Supreme Court of India is the highest constitutional court, and it is the highest court of appeal, and it has a weapon of judicial review with it, and it ensures constitutional supremacy in our country. And then you are also thorough that the number of section articles 124 to 147 in part 5 of the Constitution deals with all the aspects of the Supreme Court. And then so the Supreme Court, the number of judges bill 2019 was passed by the Parliament to increase the number of judges from 31 to 34. This point is also clear. And recently, with the appointment of these 2 judges, now the Supreme Court is functioning at the full strength of 34. All the sanctioned judges are now there. So then who is authorized? The Parliament is authorized to regulate the number of judges in the Supreme Court. Who will appoint the judges? It is the President of India who will appoint the judges, but upon the recommendations of the collegium system. So with respect to the collegium system, how many members are there? Collegium system consists of 5 members, that is, so 1 Chief Justice of India and as well as the 4 senior most judges. This is what is the collegium system is all about. And the other important point that you have to understand is that so the government actually have made an attempt to create something called as NJAC, National Judicial Appointments Commission, through the 99th Constitutional Amendment Act. Okay, through the 99th Constitutional Amendment Act. So the government have created a new body called as National Judicial Appointments Commission. In this particular body, the representation from the executive and the representation from the judiciary will be there. And now this body was thought to be appointing the judges instead of collegium system. So that means NJAC was created to replace this collegium system body completely. So this it was created through 99th Constitutional Amendment Act. But in the year 2015, Supreme Court have strike off this particular 99th Constitutional Amendment Act and said that NJAC is violating the Constitution. NJAC is violating the independence of the judiciary. Independence of the judiciary is one of the basic features of the Constitution. So therefore, NJAC should not continue, and the 99th Constitutional Amendment Act was strike off by the Supreme Court and it restored the collegium system. So this is another important background point that you are expected to know. Yes friends, so these are some of the important points, and there was one previous question I have attached here. See, the power to increase the number of judges in the Supreme Court of India is vested in the President of India, the Parliament, Chief Justice of India, and the Law Commission. I feel now it takes even less than 5 seconds for you to answer this particular question, right? So the power to increase the number of judges in Supreme Court in India is vested in whom? It is vested in the Parliament. Absolutely correct, Andy. Absolutely correct. It was Parliament. Okay, so the Parliament, through its power in the year 2019, it brought something called as Supreme Court Number of Judges Bill 2019. Supreme Court Number of Judges Bill 2019 it brought, and increased the number of judges from 31 to 34, which is the present strength of the Supreme Court. Yes friends, these are important points with respect to this particular article. Let us go to the next article. Karnataka bill mandates 50% quota for locals in the management positions. So now the Karnataka cabinet have recently cleared an important bill, and the name of that particular bill is Karnataka State Employment of Local Candidates in the Industries, Factories and Other Establishments Bill 2024. It was cleared in the cabinet meeting chaired by the Siddaramaiah on July 15th. And now what this bill is talking about? This bill is talking about that providing the reservations to the local communities, to the local candidates instead of non-locals. So all the establishments, all the factories, all the industries in Karnataka have to give preference to that of their own state people. That means the local candidates. So, and it is saying that, so this bill mandating that industries, factories and other establishments should appoint the local candidates in 50% of the management positions and 75% in non-management positions. So with respect to management positions, so at least 50% have to be from the local people, local candidates only, and then 75% of the people should be non-management. In non-management positions, at least 75% should be there, and with respect to management positions, 50% should be there, and it is applicable to all the establishments, all the factories and as well as all the industries. So those people who violate these particular provisions of this particular act, so will attract the penalty of 10,000 rupees to 25,000 rupees. So this was the intention of this particular Karnataka government in order to provide the employment to their local people. So okay, instead of the non-locals or outsiders, so this particular state is planning to protect the interests of its own local community. And at the same time, it has defined who was a local. So the local candidate, this act has defined that local candidate is basically a person who is born in the state of Karnataka or who is domiciled in the state for a period of 15 years and who is capable of speaking, reading and writing Kannada in a legible way and has passed the required test conducted by the nodal agency also. So by possessing these particular conditions, so one can become a local candidate here and he is eligible to get this particular reservation. So that is 50% should be all the management positions should be filled to local candidates only. 75% of the non-management positions should also be given to the local candidates only. So if they particular, and let us, there was one scenario where what happens is, for example, if a qualified or a suitable local candidate is not available, whether be it for a management position or a non-management position, if at all if a qualified or a suitable candidate is not available, so then that particular factory or that establishment, so that industries and establishments should, in collaboration with the government, should take the steps to train the local candidates within 3 years. So now if at all, if that means if a suitable candidate is not available, okay, now the particular industries or the factory or the establishment should take the responsibility in order to by collaborating with the government of the Karnataka, should train those particular candidates so that once they are skilled, then they can be provided the employment. Okay, then similarly there was this subsequent article along with the same continuation of this particular previous article. If sufficient number of local candidates are not available, then an industry or a factory or other establishments may apply for relaxation from the provisions of this particular act, and after due inquiry the government may pass appropriate orders, and such orders passed by government shall be final. This was another important point. So now they are saying that if at all If the local candidates are not available, then for the time being you can apply for that particular relaxation under this particular act. So then the government will conduct some inquiry, and if at all, if that inquiry is satisfactory, and if it is really true that the local candidates are not available, then in that context it can provide some relaxation to that particular industries or factories to recruit the non-local suitable candidates. Okay, but however, the local candidate should not go below the 25% in management positions and 50% in non-management categories. Failure to comply may attract the penalties up to 10,000 rupees to 25,000 rupees is the penalty that is this particular act is imposing. So now down the line, this state legislature will pass this particular act. Okay, bill will be passed and it will be converted to act. And also coming days, we can expect more and more analysis articles. So more and more analysis editorial articles will come on this particular bill. So and once those articles are published, then definitely we will discuss more and more important points with respect to this particular news item. But as of now, you are expected to know that what is basically this Karnataka bill is all about, and what are the important points, what are the important provisions with respect to this particular bill you are expected to know. So down the line we will get more and more pros and cons and the opinions on this particular act. So then definitely we will cover all those particular acts. Understood, right? Yes. Then I have written the same key points here, that the Karnataka cabinet has recently cleared a bill that is known as the Karnataka State Employment to Local Candidates in the Industries, Factories and Other Establishments Bill 2024. This bill mandates that industries, factories and other establishments appoint local candidates in 50% of management positions and 75% in the non-management positions, to protect the interests of the this particular thing. This particular act has been enacted. Now the third important one. Yes, CSIR chief N Kalaiselvi gets the 2-year extension. Yes friends, there was a new appointment related thing. There is an important body called as CSIR, the Council of Scientific and as well as Industrial Research. The Council of Scientific and as well as Industrial Research is an important body which carries out the research and development in our country. Okay, with respect to this particular body, there was one first women director general who is known as N Kalaiselvi is the first woman director general of this particular body. Now she was given the 2-year extension. 2-year extension has been given to her. 2-year extension has been given to her. In this context, this article is important and CSIR is important. You should also understand one more point, that Miss Kalaiselvi broke the proverbial glass ceiling by becoming the first woman scientist to head the CSIR CECRI in February 2019. So whenever you are writing mains related answers, specifically with respect to women role in the management positions, if your point is arguing on this point, then definitely you can mention so this Miss Kalaiselvi as one of the important example. You can quote this particular example, like how she broke this proverbial glass ceiling and entered into the highest position of this particular body. And few important points about CSIR you should know. What does CSIR stands for? Council of Scientific and Industrial Research is the first important point. And with respect to CSIR, what is its main function? The main function is it is the largest research and development organization in our country. So research, R&D, so the mainly R&D body this particular CSIR is. And in order to carry out the R&D, it should require the funds, right? So then who will be giving the funds? It is funded by the Ministry of Science and as well as Technology. So this particular CSIR is funded by the Ministry of Science and as well as Technology, and it operates as an autonomous organization body through the Societies Registration Act 1860. Friends, you should understand that CSIR is not a statutory body. Instead, CSIR functions as an autonomous body and under the Societies Registration Act 1860 is a third point, and it was established way back in the year 1942, which is headquartered in the New Delhi. With respect to CSIR, there was one important award that is known as Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize. Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar SSB Prize. So this is Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize for Science and Technology. This award was introduced in the year 1957 in order to give to those people who in the field of science and as well as technology. So those who have made the outstanding contributions in this particular field. Okay, those who are given the outstanding contributions in this particular field in our country will be conferred with this particular prize known as Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar prize in our country. Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar prize. So then who is this Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar? Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar is actually the founder director and the first director general of the CSIR, who is credited with establishing about the 12 national laboratories. So this Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar is the first founder director and as well as the first director general of this particular body of CSIR. So therefore, in recognition of his contributions, we have initiated an award under his name, that is Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar prize for science and as well as technology, and we are providing it from the year 1957, and to those people like who made some outstanding contributions in the field of science and as well as technology will be provided with this particular award. So when you are talking about CSIR, so this Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar prize should come into your mind. And one more time, this particular CSIR is not a statutory body. It functions as an autonomous body under the Ministry of Science and as well as Technology, under the Societies Registration Act 1860. It is registered and it is headquartered in New Delhi and established in the year 1942. And CSIR is the main R&D, research and as well as development body organization in our country. Yes, these are some important points that you are expected to know. So we have covered how many articles? Like the first one we talked about the judges of the Supreme Court. Like with the addition of the appointment of these two judges, now it is working to the full strength of about 34 judges. We have seen how the judges are appointed, what is this collegium system, what is this NJSC and all the things. Then we went to the second important article, that is the Karnataka's bill, which is protecting the interests of these local candidates in the form of providing the reservation of about 50% as reservation in the management positions and 75% in the non-management positions. This was the second article we covered. And the third one, Kalai Selvi, so who was the first women director general of the CSIR, now has been conferred with was now an additional service of about 2 more years. Her service got extended. So therefore, in this context, you are expected to know the CSIR and as well as all the important points associated with it. Then comes the fourth article. 1151 crore investment can help India in battery tech race. So friends, if you see, there was with respect to climate change, we have something called as UNFCCC. That means United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. In this United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, we have made some commitments in the form of NDCs. So that is nationally determined contributions. So we have made a commitment that we would reduce the fossil fuel based electricity generation, and then we will switch to the cleaner technologies. So cleaner technologies, now it's the time to reduce the fossil fuel based dependency on all the sectors, and we have to decarbonize the sectors. With respect to transportation sector, in order to decarbonize it, so now the effective alternative is electric vehicles. So for with respect to electric vehicles, if we can adopt these electric vehicles by leaving this petrol and as well as the diesel vehicles like internal combustion engine vehicles, so then definitely, so it will be a huge transition to the cleaner technologies. This is what is the idea. But however, EV vehicle penetration is very less in our country, and the government have taken few initiatives as well in order to promote it. With respect to EV vehicles, what is required is the batteries. EV batteries are must and should. For that, lithium is very important. So now recently an important report got published. So this report is saying that it is providing a roadmap, like how we have to invest, how much we have to invest in this electric vehicle EV CAD sector, so that India can lead the world with respect to the battery technologies. And the report name is E-Mobility R&D Roadmap. E-mobility R&D roadmap is basically a report that was published by Automotive Research Association of India, ARAI. The e-mobility R&D roadmap is basically an important report that is published by the Automotive Research Association of India. So what this report is talking about? This report is basically providing a roadmap. Roadmap to whom? Roadmap to the government. To what? For what? So for the electric vehicle, to increase the penetration of the penetration of electric vehicles in our country and improve the battery technology in our country. So for this particular purpose, this report is quoting clearly, if you see this particular point. So this report has provided the four broad areas. So the four broad areas or buckets are energy storage cells, electric vehicle aggregates, materials and as well as recycling, and the charging and as well as the refueling. So these are the important categories. These are the important categories that this report has published. And now each report is further subdivided into projects that have timelines ranging from 2 to 5 years. This project has also included the projected cost, and they cumulatively add up to 1115 crore. This is what is the investment that the government have to make with respect to this particular report, so that India can be the leader in the manufacturing in the electric vehicle battery technology category. This is what is the important point this report is highlighting. So in the GS paper 3, whenever you are writing about the transitioning to the or decarbonizing the transportation sector, you will be writing electric vehicle. Adopting the electric vehicle is one of the initiatives. So then while you are mentioning this particular initiative, you can quote this report, that is e-mobility R&D roadmap, which was recently published by Automotive Research Association of India. So there you can quote that an investment of about, according to this report, an investment of about 1151 crore can help the India to improve its capabilities with respect to the battery technology, and so that this battery technology which is key to the electrification of the vehicles. So this is how you have to use this particular points in your mains questions as well. Friends, you should understand that one important point is that with respect to UPSC mains answers, related answers. So for prelims, you need to be as specific as possible, because the questions will not be easy, friends. So we often feel very overconfident. We feel that we can easily answer it, but no, the questions will be little on the tougher edge only. Until and unless you know the specific details of each and every topic, you cannot answer those particular questions. So that therefore the depth need to be more and more. With respect to mains, while you are writing some were making some argument, your argument should support with an example. Like for example, for instance, so some investments are required with respect to that of the EV adoption in our country. There you should quote this report, that recently even e-mobility R&D roadmap report has also even highlighted that about 1151 crore investment is required. So therefore, by quoting these reports wherever required, by quoting the examples depending upon the situations, so then definitely your answer will be in a much more comparatively better way than that of the other answers. So that is how your answer, you should differentiate your answers, and these current affairs snippets will help you in that context. Yes, let us go to the next point, next current affair. Yes, one important international current affair. Rwanda's incumbent Kagame wins the 4th term with 99% of vote. Friends, like with respect to international, any prime ministers got elected, presidents got appointed, or some international conferences took place in that particular country, then very, very important. So both that country, geographical location, everything will be important. So now recently, if you see this, Rwandan president Paul Kagame is in the news. So now he is going to continue for the 4th term after he won the 99.15% of the votes in the recent elections. Yes, so Rwanda's president Paul Kagame is often seen recently in the news as the president of, that will be a question with respect to prelims. And Rwanda as a country, you are expected to know this geographical location also. I have attached a map for you so that will be very easy to remember. So this is what is Rwanda. So Rwanda's capital is Kigali. Kigali is the capital of Rwanda, and it borders with the countries like Tanzania to the east, Uganda to the north, and the Democratic Republic of Congo to the west, and Burundi to the south. So these are the 4 countries, that is Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, and Democratic Republic of Congo. So these are the 4 countries that the Rwanda borders with, and Rwanda is a landlocked country. That is another important point you should know about. I have written some points here. Rwanda is a landlocked country lying south of the equator in the East Central Africa. It is located in the East Central Africa. It is known for its breathtaking scenery. Rwanda is often referred to as land of 1,000 hills. So because of its beautiful sceneries, it is often regarded as the land of 1,000 hills. Then the third point is the capital of Rwanda is Kigali. So I think you may remember the Kigali amendment. Even if you don't, no worries. So the capital of Rwanda is Kigali, that is located in the center of the country on the Ruganwa River. So these are some very important points, friends, that you should not miss, because UPSC may go deep and deeper. Okay, so then definitely, like, which of consider the following countries, which of the above countries borders with the Rwanda? This might be a question. And Rwanda is a landlocked country, as I already pointed out, and it borders with the following countries, like Uganda to the north, Tanzania to the east, Burundi to the south, Democratic Republic of Congo to the west. So that is what we have written, right? So it is also known as the land of the 1,000 hills. Okay, then the next point is, so the capital of Rwanda is Kigali, and then Rwanda is a landlocked country, and these are the bordering countries. Yes, friends, let's go to the next point, next article. NCLT, which means NCLT, National Company Law Tribunal, puts Byju's on the IBC mat on the BCCI plea. So now, with respect to NCLT, NCLT stands for National Company Law Tribunal. National Company Law Tribunal. Okay. With respect to this particular body, now with respect to Byju's, with respect to and its parent company, Think and as well as Learn is its parent company, BCCI, which stands for the Board of Control for Cricket in India, BCCI, have filed a petition in the NCLT over Byju's parent company Think and Learn that it availed itself the services of the BCCI and defaulted about 159 crore. Okay, so here the characters involved are BCCI, National Company Law Tribunal, and as well as Byju's parent company Think and as well as Learn. BCCI have filed a petition in the National Company Law Tribunal over the Byju's. So saying that, so the Byju's have failed to pay us 159 crore, and now NCLT have started the insolvency proceedings against the this particular Byju's. Okay, as far as this thing is concerned, you need to understand that there is something called as IBC, Insolvency and as well as the Bankruptcy Code of India. IBC, Insolvency and as well as Bankruptcy Code. Under this Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, it has provided for the adjudicating authorities. So adjudicating authorities, that means those authorities which solve the disputes between now these particular companies. See, for example, so the BCCI have went to NCLT over the issue of the Byju's defaulting the payment to BCCI, right? With respect to adjudicating authorities, we have two different authorities. The first one is NCLT, which stands for National Company Law Tribunal, and the second one is DRT, which stands for Debt Recovery Tribunal. This Debt Recovery Tribunal is mainly for the individuals and as well as the partnership firms. With respect to NCLT, it is for companies and as well as limited liability partnerships. So that means, for example, whenever any bank, if it provided a loan, okay, it provided a credit to any other company. So let's say example, XYZ company. Now this XYZ company have defaulted the payment to this particular bank. Now this bank, in order to get the funds, in order to recover the debt, can approach the NCLT or DRT for that matter. So for smaller cases, it is for DRT, and when the large companies and limited liability partnerships are involved, then one has to approach the NCLT in order to recover the debt that they have given to their respective companies. So on the other side, similarly, we have something called as IBBI, Insolvency and as well as Bankruptcy Board of India. With respect to Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, under it there are some few important other components also, that is known as IPA, Insolvency Professional Agency. So what does this Insolvency Professional Agency does? We will talk a bit about later. Then we have Insolvency Professional. Insolvency Professional. What is the duty of this particular Insolvency Professional? Now, for example, if you say in this case, now NCLT have started the insolvency proceedings against the Byju's, correct, right? So now it will appoint an insolvency professional. So this insolvency professional will coordinate all the process with respect to recovering all the debt from the Byju's. So for this particular purpose, an insolvency professional will be appointed, and all this process is known as CIRP. All this process is known as CIRP, stands for Corporate Insolvency Resolution Process. Corporate Insolvency Resolution Process. So this process will be started. What this process objective? This process objective is to recover the debt from that particular defaulting company. So now in this context, NCLT have started the insolvency proceedings against the Byju's. So that means down the line it might start the CIRP. CIRP stands for Corporate Insolvency Resolution Process. So in order to carry out all this particular CIRP, there requires a professional, and that professional is known as insolvency professional. So this insolvency professional is basically that particular person who have qualified who have done the courses and qualified from the received the certificate from the insolvency professional agency. So that means insolvency professional agency will provide the courses, and it will teach you all the insolvency related proceedings, how it have to be carried out and all the procedures, and after that it will get an examination and provide you the certificate as well. So now with that certificate you will become an insolvency professional. So now you will be appointed by this particular NCLT body in order to carry out all this CIRP, Corporate Insolvency Resolution Procedure. So now you understood what is who is insolvency professional, what is insolvency professional agency. Then we have the third important thing called as information utility. Information utility is basically it's associated with, it collects the data about the debt. So about the debt completely, it will collect the authentic information. Like for example, if ICICI Bank has given a loan to XYZ Limited of, let's say, about some 100 crores. Now immediately ICICI will report that particular data to the information utility. So now information utility will maintain a record by saying that on so and so specific date ICICI have given the loan to XYZ Limited of about 100 crores, and this 100 crores will reflect as a debt of XYZ Limited. Isn't it right? So this information utility, what it will do, it will collect the data about the debt. That means all the companies, like how much debt they are carrying, so like how much debt they have taken from the banks, so from the financial institutions, all the authentic data will be maintained by this information utility. What is the usage of this information utility? The usage is basically that this insolvency professional who is carrying out all the CIRP process, before initiating the proceedings, he will go to this information utility, and with respect to the company that he is handling, he will collect all the information from this particular information utility. So that means on which dates, which time periods this particular company XYZ have taken the loans. Okay, so that he will have the complete authentic record. That is what is the purpose is all about. This information utility is like a database of all the debt that is there in our country, like what are the companies which have taken the debt and from where they have taken, on what period, on which particular date, specific date they have taken the debt, and at the same time how much amount that they owe to these particular financial institutions. All this information will be maintained. So now you understood that what is insolvency professional agency, what does insolvency professional will do, and what is information utility, and at the same time this IPA, insolvency professional agency, and as well as insolvency professional, and at the same time information utility, they are all regulated by the first board, that is known as Insolvency and as well as Bankruptcy Board of India. Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India will take care of all these particular aspects, and it will regulate all these particular procedures which are involved. So on one side we have talked about adjudicating authorities, and on the other side we have talked about this Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. And what this process is all about: CIRP, Corporate Insolvency Resolution Process. So in down the line in one of the videos I will try to elaborate on this particular CIRP step by step, like what are the stages that are involved, what are operational, who are operational creditors, who are financial creditors, and all those aspects I'll explain in the another video, so that you can get the complete picture. Okay friends, so by up till now you should understand that what these are the insolvency proceedings, and these are the institutions which are involved in our country with respect to this. Now let us go to the next one. Yes, an opinion based article was published recently in the Hindu newspaper today. Trying juveniles as adults is not the answer. So now this particular author is saying that trying the juveniles as adults is not the answer. So this is with respect to recently that a teenager have recently killed them by overspeeding his car. He has killed the two young techies in Pune. So now since he is a teenager, now he will be sent to this Juvenile Justice Board under the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act, JJ Act 2015. So with respect to this particular article, so the author is saying that first of all you should understand that who is a juvenile. Who is a juvenile? A person who is less than 18 years of age. A person who is less than 18 years of age and is in conflict with law. So that means he has committed some offense, whether it can be a heinous offense or it can be a non-heinous offense. But however, he is basically that person or a child who is less than 18 years of age, and as well as if he is in conflict with the law, then he can be considered as a juvenile. With respect to this particular act, now this particular author is saying that one important point. That point is that so these juveniles are basically this adolescent age, like is very immature, and as well as these people are in the developmental phase. So that's the reason we will not try these people with the adults, with the normal adult population in the sessions court. So we have provided an alternative mechanism to them, like a rehabilitation, counseling will be provided to these particular less than juveniles, so that they can get motivated with all this particular thing, and then over a period of time they will come back to the mainstream of the society with a fresh bent of mind. This is the objective with respect to this particular juveniles. So now here the author is pointing one important aspect. This particular author is suggesting one important innovative approach to bring the change in a juvenile. So this particular author is saying that she is quoting from the United States of America and as well as Indonesia. See, if you read this particular point, specifically in the cases of the deaths caused by the motor accidents, innovative approaches have been followed attempted in the Indonesia and the United States of America, that enable the offenders to face their victims and focus on personal accountability. In some jurisdictions, convicted drunk drivers are required to face a victim impact panel of the relatives of victims who express how the incident have affected their particular lives. A report released in 2022 by the Kevin Thompson and Sarah Joseph found a reduction in the recidivism among the offenders who are exposed to whips in the North Dakota. So what are basically this whip? See, for example, here in this case, if you talk about this Pune accident, this young techies, their family members and as well as their relatives will be part of the victim impact panel. So now the author is suggesting one important solution as well, approach as well, in order to reform these juveniles. So the approach is basically that, so this juvenile have to meet the relatives of these particular people. So he has to face the relatives of this particular people, so that these relatives of that particular victim will explain so their pain points. So that means how their life is now because of that particular victim, because of the lack of that particular victim, and all those points. So by understanding, by seeing, by observing that particular pain, so then definitely there will be a change in the juvenile. So that is what is the approach that the author is talking about in this particular article. So and I thought it is important for us so that you can use this in your mains answers. With respect to prelims perspective, you should understand that there is an act called as Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2015. So this act has replaced the Delinquency Law and the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of the Children Act 2000. And similarly, this act was also provided the provision to allow the trials of juveniles in the age group of 16 to 18 years as an adult who are found to be in conflict with the law, especially heinous crimes. So that means those juveniles whose age group is 16 to 18 years, ideally they have to be tried as a juvenile in the juvenile court, but however they can also be tried as an adult like the other normal adults in the sessions court. So that means with respect to heinous crimes, that means whenever the juveniles in the age group of 16 to 18 years of age have committed a heinous crime, so then they can also be tried as an adults like the similar other adults in the sessions court only. So this Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act has also provided these provisions also. This is what the other important point. And the third point is with respect to adoption related laws. This act has offered the provisions regarding the adoption. This act has replaced the Hindu Adoptions and Maintenance Act 1956 and the Guardians of the Ward Act 1890 with more universally accessible adoption law. This law has made the CARA, C-A-R-A, Central Adoption Resource Authority. This act has enabled the smooth functioning of adoption procedures for orphans, surrendered and abandoned children while making the Central Adoption Resource Authority as the statutory body for adoption related matters. Yes, so these are some of the important points this particular with respect to this article you should understand. So this article is saying only one main important point: innovative approaches from that are being followed in the United States of America and as well as Indonesia, that is by facing the juvenile. So to that of the victim impact panel will definitely have the more impact than the normal counselings that are being provided from the experts and as well as psychologists. Yes friends, so these are some important points. So then the last article for today: centralized examinations have not aced the test. So this particular article is purely associated with the National Testing Agency and as well as the NEET question paper leak. So how the National Testing Agency have handled so this particular aspect and the flaws are being provided by this particular article. And in this particular article, some important recommendations which are given in this particular article are. So here the author is pointing the multiple flaws with respect to that of the National Testing Agency and how the central government is handling these particular examinations. And the author here is also pointing to some important solutions or basically suggestions. One important suggestion that the author is giving is decentralization as a workable option. So here the author is basically saying that instead of having a centralized examination, so you as a central government just prepare a template and leave the conducting and examinations and filling the seats all to the state governments. So and you ensure that, so you give a standard template and you ensure that all the state governments are following to that particular standards. This was the first important suggestion. So this particular the others are giving with respect to improving the conduct of fair examinations in our country. Okay, because we have seen with respect to NEET, right? And the second important thing is that second important recommendation is National Testing Agency do not have the domain experts. It is basically having a chief executive officer, so who is an Indian Administrative Service officer, and they don't have the required expertise, so the domain expertise in order to prepare the question banks and as well as all these aspects. So therefore what is much required is we need to have the testing bodies should have the domain experts. The first option is decentralization as a workable option. So how? So the central government should provide a template and the state governments should follow that particular template, and the central government should ensure that all the state governments are following the respective standards that was put forth by the central government. And second point is all the testing bodies whatever there, they should include the domain experts so that they can better are equipped in order to provide the so the more these things, the quality to the particular students. And the third important thing is, the ideally the roots need to be strengthened. So that means the schooling system should be strengthened. So the school examinations should not be considered as a just a mockery. They should be strengthened. They should be strengthened so that till when they become the older, their behavior, they will build some important good values and will not lead to these particular malpractices. So these are the three main summary points that the author is talking about. So now the issue is related to the National Testing Agency and how the examinations were conducted and how the question paper leaks have been happened. So is the author's point of view initially. Then later the authors are talking about the solutions as well. Like the first solution is, instead of the central government, instead of centralization of the examinations, so the state government should be given that particular responsibility. And as a central government, it should first prepare a standard template and ensure that all the state governments are following those respective standards. That's the first point. And second point is, it should not be with respect to the testing bodies, main activities should not be outsourced, and it should also include the domain experts should be added into these particular bodies. And finally the third one, schooling system actually be strengthened. So the examinations of school examination should also be taken into considerations, and their merit should also be considered, and good values need to be promoted among the students, because it will be easy for the in the lower age to teach these values rather than when they become the older. These are the three important viewpoints from the author that you can use it as the key points when you are writing your mains based answers. Yes friends, and it's the time for today's question. Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize is associated with CSIR, Geological Survey of India, Geological Survey of India, Soil Survey of India. So Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize is often seen recently in the news. It is associated with which of the following organizations? So I think you know the answer. If you know the answer, please comment the answer in the comment section, so that shows that you are with me up till now. And also, if you like the video, please like the video, because that gives us more and more motivation and this thing to bring these type of quality videos to you. Yes friends, okay, let us meet again tomorrow at 18th July daily Hindu news analysis. Up till then, all the best, happy learning, bye bye.